preview a big week 3 game. All that coming up on the Wincinnati podcast.
Yes. Hello, world. We got a special show as always. CJ Uzomah, Jimmy Chase, Coach Jimmy Burrow.
Exciting time to be a Bengals
How do you
fan.
balance being a professional athlete and family obligation?
These are top 5 Bengals of all time.
All time, man.
Yeah.
Shock the world.
Welcome to the Wincinnati podcast. It is officially week 3. We've got 2 weeks in, and they weren't the 2 weeks that I think we thought we were going to have in the summertime, but we are still optimistic. We're still looking forward to things. Sim, how are you guys?
Doing pretty good, bro. Obviously, this is an important week. I'm treating it like it's a must-win. Personally, 0-3 I think is a death kiss. So I have faith that the Bengals are going to come out. So I'm staying resilient.
Same thing with me, man. I feel really good about the game. I feel better today than I did before. I know everybody's on edge because, I'm going to just straight up say it. 0-3 is 100% the death sentence. Do you know the only person that I think can relate to 0-3 and making the playoffs, though, is actually on our team? His name is DJ Reader. They did it. Aside from that, though, the odds are not in our favor. I'll spare you guys the numbers, but 0-3, you're not making.
I think it's like 2% or something, right? It's like something crazy.
It's like 2%. Only 6 teams out of like 200 and something, like under 250. 0-2, only like 40 something. The last team that did it was the Trey Hendrickson and Von Bell Saints in 2017.
Okay, it wasn't the Steelers didn't do it.
Not that I know. I think the last 0-2 one that I looked up just now on Stat News or whatever, it was Trey Hendrickson and Von Bell Saints in 2017.
Well, Sports Guru didn't even have that right. He was talking about the last team that did it was the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm like, all right, but I guess
what else
not.
did you expect from him?
When was that? When did he say that?
This was a few days. He came in. Okay. You know how he is. He came in. He was another guy that day, but he came in talking about the last team that did it was the Steelers in like 2018 or 2019.
How tough are the spaces getting, Zim?
They're pretty cool. A lot of people want Bengals fans to feel small right now, and you know how I am. Like, that's impossible. I can go 0-16. I'm gonna still be talking like my stuff, so that it really throws them off. They're like, so you're not like. You guys, I'm like, no, we still got the best wide receivers, and Joe Burrow's still Joe Burrow. And I think people, lick their wounds a lot on Monday and Tuesday and, a little bit of Wednesday, right? And then they came back to reality and said, you know what, bro? Like, we are the better team. I think we'll get into some of the stuff like later on why I think that they can win the game and what they should do to win the game. But I think the optimism is starting to rise a little bit more.
Well, speaking of today's show and some optimism, Bengals quarterback Joe Burrow spoke to the media as scheduled on Wednesday, and he's not ready to hit the panic button. He, wants everyone to take a deep breath and relax. We'll talk about those comments and how that positivity is sort of manufactured throughout the team. So obviously with the week 3 coming up, we'll talk about the Bengals opponent, the Jets. We'll preview that matchup, what things we think can go right, how they can game plan, as Zim mentioned earlier. We will also look at the big AFC North matchup tonight on Thursday Night Football. I know it's 2 division rivals, but it's still a huge game with everyone clumped together, especially this early and after all of last week's results. So stick around. That's what we've got coming up next. All right, guys, we talked about Joe Burrow's comments. He spoke at his press conference. His exact quote was, "We're not panicking. We're 2 games in. We've got 15 games left. Everyone just take a deep breath and relax. We're going to be fine." What does that mean to you, Zim?
I mean, it's what I expect him to say. I think he feels really confident in the team and they know what they can do. I don't know. I think the people that I know that really, really follow this team, I don't think everybody doesn't think that they're capable of doing it. I think most people are questioning, will the coaches make the adjustments to do so? So that's the thing that I'm looking for this upcoming week. I think he is a voice. It was almost therapeutic. I almost felt like he was like our therapist. And, a lot of people needed to see that. I kind of like the Bengals going underneath the radar after going through 2 weeks of being the most hated franchise in all of sports for some odd reason, which was really, really strange for me. All off season, they said, bro, y'all going to be hunted. I didn't know that hunted was like code word for being the most hated. Like to me, I thought those were two different things, but they're the same now. So right now, I feel like Joe had to say that and just, kind of be the leader that we know him to be.
Yeah, what about you, Ace?
Yeah, I think it just essentially exudes what Joe Burrow is, a leader, a guy that's not too big for the moment, a guy that has emerged out of criticism. I think that he feels like he needs to be the voice for this team because you can kind of feel the energy in a lot of those press conferences. It's just stacking on the negative, nothing about, them being able to be a good team. And I think he's just like, hold up, everybody relax, like, let's keep faith. We dropped 2 very close games, and these were games where we were getting in our own way. We'll get it cleaned up, and we'll be fine. And I think that's what you want your leader to say. Like, you want him to take some accountability for the team's struggles, but you also want him to still hold his head high and remain confident and not hit the panic button, because that's the last thing that you want to see at 0-2. So I think it just exudes what Joe Burrow is as a leader.
Ace, do you think this is enough of a veteran team to where, some of this stuff goes without saying and they already know, how to like self-motivate themselves? Or do you think leaders like Burrow, like Reeder, like, Von Bell, they have to be verbal and sort of like, I don't know, needed to actually just say something to the team?
Yeah, I think CJ Uzomah, as much as I kind of downplay what he did on the field, he was that vocal guy, and they really haven't had that, right? Like, who is going to step up and be the guy that really speak out for the team? And I think they are a young team, so there's some veteran guys there, but most of our veteran guys aren't really vocal. So I think Joe was just like, if no one's going to go out and do it, it's going to be me. So I thought that was big to kind of show him coming out, being the guy that's kind of rallying the troops.
Zim, if you were giving a like pep talk to the team after 0-2, how would you be saying that?
I would be like, bro, it's a whole lot of revenge out here. Like, I don't have much to say, honestly. Like, that was a great one. You caught me off guard with that. I mean, I think this team performs very well when it's back against the wall. You look at the Raiders game last year when it was like back against the wall. I just think that you're just looking at this upcoming game as like it's just one game. Everybody keeps on talking about like, oh, we need to get to 4-2. We need to get to shut up. It's just one game. Let's focus on this one game that we know that we're better than the team. We let 2 teams that we know aren't better than our team win the game. Let's just be better than them. Let's come out and act like we're better than them. Let's play better than them. Let's just be the big dogs and enforce our will for once and see where that gets us. If we lose, we lose. But we're going to go down swinging with our big dogs, and we're not going to treat it like with caution like they did last week and let these teams off the hook and stuff. Like, go be dominant. Go do whatever, because – the way that the season unfolds, I don't know if y'all remember the Cardinals last year starting off really high. I know the Bills are starting off really high, all these different things. What happens is teams make adjustments. There are different things that happen throughout the season that, upsets and all types of stuff. And it's a long season, but right now we're just focusing on this one game and everything else will take care of itself.
I know in the presser, I think it was important to just kind of see the Joe we know, just the same, exuding some of the same confidence and things like that. Because if you saw what happened on the sideline the other day, like you see if you're watching at home and you see this image, I think it kind of shook some of us up to see Joe look that rattled. I mean, look at this stat, and this is a good enough reason why. Andrew Luck was sacked 76 times in his first 33 games. David Carr was sacked 101 times in his first 32. Burrow's been sacked 115 times in 32 games. That's including playoffs. So
that's real. That's real. But the one thing about steals, though, like I haven't seen the video for this. I just hate sometimes situations get characterized like that. They did that to the Migos one time on that sideline shot, and they look like to me. Somebody will paint a picture with stats and stuff to like pose like what they want to present to you.
Mm-hmm.
He looks like he's just in deep thought to me, and they caught it at that one given moment, and then the propaganda is like pairing it with the sack stats and everything. Like the stats and everything are super real. But at that moment, he's probably just thinking really hard, like, what do I need to get out of it? And I don't think he looks super defeated to me, but I get the sentiment in the stats and everything. Like, I don't know. I just hate when they pair that crap up like that.
Yeah, I do remember seeing this during the game. To me, that's where I was like, man, this offensive line has really got Joe Burrow second guessing himself. Like when I saw this after the game, it was when he was frustrated. I think it was right when they made the field goal. He was like looking disappointed and upset, probably feeling like this offense should have done more to try to do something in the first half, right? When you talk about the sacks, though, like Joe Burrow should not be hit that many times. I mean, honestly, like they've done things to try to fix it. For now, it seems like it might be a coaching issue. If you're going and investing the money, which they did, if you're drafting and putting the best guys in there, which they did with Volson over Carmen, you would expect the results to be better, and they just have not gotten better. This cannot continue because it is affecting Joe. Like a lot of people talk about him holding the ball, but when you watch on the film, when he goes to his second read and he's not throwing it, it's because he's stopping after his first read, putting his head back down and looking to see if he's going to get hit. And a lot of people talk about like, why is he playing this way? You talk about those other two guys on the list, right? David Carr, I'm not going to say he was a future Hall of Famer or anything like that. Andrew Luck. Eventually, it did get to them where they couldn't trust their offensive line, and that's going to affect their play, especially when you talk about him getting sacked 13 times in 2 games. They just got to fix it and try to move on from that. I don't think that he's defeated. I don't think that he's given up, but that's your future. That is the franchise. The franchise, hands off the merchandise. You can't let the merchandise get touched. It's been getting touched too many times. But I think that this coaching staff and this offensive line will figure it out, especially this week, and get them back to where they were last year, minus the sacks, because, we don't want 70 again like last year.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of factors that go into the protection, and some of it lies on, obviously one-on-one blocks, and some of it lies with cohesion and play calling, and Joe at times looking for a bigger play. So there's not one area to point a finger, and I, as a team and a collective, I think they'll figure it out, and they'll get to a place where, he can be confident again and they can keep it rolling. Before we turn our focus to week 3, one more thing that kind of came out this week that we want to talk about is Lou Anarumo said that Jesse Bates dislocated his finger in the game and he didn't miss a snap. I know that there's some things, that people want to talk about some of Jesse Bates' play, obviously the holdout and during the offseason. You can't argue that he's giving it 110% here.
Yeah, I think guys in that situation, if they didn't want, like, if your MO is that Jesse Bates didn't want to play or is saving himself for free agency, dude could have held out. Like, he could have spent any particular holdout time that he wanted. When he had an injury like this, he could have just said, you know what? I'm going to sit on the bench. I don't think Jesse's that type of guy. Like, sure, the deal didn't happen, but, Jesse loves playing football. These guys on the team are his brothers. And when you have that bond, you don't want to let the guys down. Like, even if it didn't get done with ownership, there's plenty of his friends that were on the team. I mean, we saw guys in the offseason going to bat for him. So I think when you have situations like this, you're just going to stand tall. And I think that's what Jesse's been doing. The play can improve a little bit. I don't think he's playing terrible. I think a lot of Bengals fans are really just upset at the fact that he asked for top 5 safety money. They want to hold him to that standard. But I think Jesse's still a good safety. And I think it's only been 2 games. Like, we're nowhere near where we were last season. But we saw in the playoffs what he did when he turned it on. So I think that just speaks volume about the player that he is.
Yeah, I think when you're losing, everybody wants to be the guy that is like poetic and like to be like, let me point out every flaw. And some people, that's how some people cope to losing. And I'm not that guy, right? But one thing that I notice is like people will just be like, this guy sucks and this guy sucks. I'm like, no, it's some things that didn't go your way. Jesse Bates, think about who we played. Like we played Mitchell Trubisky and he threw for 90-something yards in 4 quarters of football. When would Jesse Bates even have a chance to even make a play on a deep shot or something sideline to sideline on a quarterback that was rolling out throughout the game? Now, if you want to talk about like his tackling skills and stuff like that, he's never been top 5, top 10 as a free safety in his tackling. Like that's the old Minkus Fitzpatrick, Adams, like that's not him. What he is a really good outfielder, and he can break up a lot of big plays. And I don't even think he's had a chance to do it. But we talked about this before we went on. His coverage grade has him ranked as in like the top 12 right now, as free safeties right now in his coverage grade according to PFF. He doesn't. I think he's only got 1 or 2 tackles, but because of who he is and where he plays on the field, and because the defense has been doing his thing up front, he hasn't had to. Like that's a good thing. You don't want a box score showing a bunch of Jesse Bates. That means guys got the 2nd and 3rd level or whatever. So I just think that when you're losing, everybody's they're looking for something instead of solutions. And I think he's playing pretty well. I would love to see Dax Hill in there too. Lou talked about that as well. Like you got to, and that's the question I pose for everybody. For the guy that says that, I want Dax Hill in over him. All right, so this rookie is going to come in and outplay a free safety that we're considering a top 10 at his position right off the gate. And we're ready to take that chance. And we don't want to figure out a way to incorporate him into the game. And then also, who are we playing? We played a predominantly run, like a run team. So when I ask people like in that last game, Pratt, healthy dose of Akeem Davis, like you need to have sets of 4-3 base defenses with Akeem Davis, Gaither, Pratt, maybe a little bit of Bailey too, so that you can have tackling. So that leads me to the question: if Dax Hill comes in, who's the guy going off the field? Mike Hilton is graded out as one of the number 1 corners right now in football in the slot position. Dax Hill isn't a primary slot corner. And I'm not saying all of this to say he doesn't need to get on the field, but like Lou was saying, it's like, why would I take off these Super Bowl guys who've been playing pretty good? Like the defense has been playing pretty good. I hated the first 2 drives, and I hated the last drive where Logan Wilson taps it in. Have y'all seen that play? Like Logan Wilson taps that ball a lot more than what I thought.
Twice last game.
Right. So the defense isn't the issue. This is my promise to you. If the Bengals were to put up like 30 plus points, I think you would think like this defense is like the most dominant, like top 3 defense by the way that they've been playing. Like they gave the Steelers like an extra 13 like opportunities, and they didn't do anything with them. They do the Cowboys. The Cowboys, don't forget the defense got the 3 and out so that we could get back out on the field. So like it's always like this weird witch hunt sometimes when you're looking at this game and in your heart of hearts the defense really isn't an issue, but we're like, let's go to point to somebody because he hadn't been playing. Like, bro, like he been doing his job. And has he been making plays, phenomenal plays? No, but I don't know. Ace, I think you hit it because when money gets involved, it's like everybody kind of has like this notion that once you wanted high dollar money, so I better see something right now. They did the same thing to Drake Kirkpatrick when he got paid. And I talked to you about it a lot of times. Do I think he's the most excellent cornerback of all time? No, but he gave up 2 big plays right after he got signed in the span of like 6-7 games. And they were like, oh, you should have never gave him that money. And I'm like, bro, like just because somebody got paid this, like what they were supposed to at their field doesn't mean that now we got to bash them because your expectations are now at a new level.
Right.
So you think that the reason we haven't seen Dax is more because of the more situational football as opposed to just not wanting
Bro, I promise you play the Chargers or the Chiefs or somebody like that, you'll see Dax Hill. Like, you'll see him a lot. Because you got to think Trey Flowers did a really good job on Schultz. So that's one person that could get his snaps. It's not even really situational, too. Say somebody get dinged up. I think Dax Hill will be the first person on the bench. It's like you're coming off of a Super Bowl, and none of these guys are playing bad. Like, Eli had a bad game, but I'm not putting Dax Hill in my outside starting corner. Like, and I'm in the middle of a losing streak. That, like, one bad decision from a cornerback is a touchdown. So I'm just like, the people that say, like, let's play him. I'm with you. But who do you take off the field? And how many times? Like, I think it has to be like a culmination of like a bunch of people. Like Mike Hilton, you come off for 2 snaps. Akeem Davis-Gaither, you come off for 2. And then at the end of the game, instead of Dax Hill only getting like, 3 snaps, then maybe he gets like 15.
Right.
But I'm saying it's like you're going to take off some of the guys that have been playing really good for him. Like, it just make it make sense for me. Like, and then I'm all with it.
Yeah, I think, we'll see it. I think it's still so early. We'll see it in time, and he'll get plenty of snaps. I think anyone that thought like he was a defensive rookie of the year candidate was kind of kidding themselves based on the limited number of opportunities he was going to get.
Well, the thing is this. If Dax Hill didn't have 2 interceptions in the preseason, and if Lou Anarumo himself didn't come out before the season and was like, we're going to have this special role for him where we're going to move him all around, I don't think people would be clamoring for him. And I think that kind of plays into it, because it's like you come out and say that you're going to have this special role that he's going to play, and then you see him go out and almost get an interception. Then he comes with an interception. And then I think people see the lack of turnovers, right? They see that the defense, even though they're playing well, keeping guys, under in scoring, they're not getting turnovers. They're not getting sacks as well. So I think a lot of people feel like, okay, if our front 4 can't get pressure, why aren't you sending Dax or something in there on the blitz? I think the way that you do it is exactly what Zim said. You don't take just one guy snaps. You have to do it over a multitude of things. But I think Lou also had a great point. His biggest thing was he said that he doesn't want to have Dax lose any confidence. If he goes in there as a young player and he gets beat up on a play or beat for a touchdown, even in limited fashion, that could completely crush his confidence. And so I thought that was interesting. And then he also said there's no reason. I mean, the secondary is playing good. Why would you mess that up? You got the cohesion going right now. So I agree with Lou. I think, like Zim said, we'll eventually see Dax. And I agree with Zim.
You're going to see him. We're going to see him. This is going to be it's not even going to be a conversation later on. Somebody's going to get dinged up, and he's going to have to play a whole entire game. It's not even going to be a thing. I promise.
Sure. All right. Well, interested to see how that plays out. Speaking of how things are playing out, one of the biggest stories of today was the injury report and the continued absence of La'el Collins, out with a back injury for a second day. I don't know if we're concerned. I mean, he hasn't played well to start the season, but an injury this early doesn't look good.
Yeah, I think I'm definitely concerned. This was the only thing that I was concerned when it comes to La'el Collins. He comes with the baggage of a potential player that has great potential, but he does kind of have an injury bug associated with him. So I think I spoke with Zim before the season started, and I was like, at some point, he's going to miss a game, maybe 2. I didn't expect it to be this early. With it being the back injury, that concerns me, right? Because when he came in and he wasn't practicing, it was due to the back injury, right? And like that's one of the reasons that kept him out of camp so long. I don't think he showed up until like the week before the preseason game or the first preseason game started. So the fact that it's the back is somewhat concerning. I mean, we're not unfamiliar with back injuries. Just think about Jackson Carman. He had a back injury that he first struggled with when he was here. I think like Zim and Joe Goodberry said, he has to lose $100,000 if he doesn't play. So I think it was smart for the Bengals to do that. Is this concerning? We'll see on Sunday if he plays or not. If he doesn't play, yes, it is concerning because I got an offensive line that's really struggling to communicate with each other. And you're talking about potentially throwing another wild card in there at right tackle. But at the same time, he hasn't played well through 2 games. So we'll see what it means. But yeah.
I don't know if y'all seen this update, but they did talk to Zach. This is why you guys should follow the Twitter Wincinnati pod. Make sure you guys check that out. But Zach did put out a statement. Wincinnati Twitter put it out too, where Zach says he does expect La'el Collins to play. He also said that they were kind of holding him a little bit more for precaution, and he does expect him to start practicing again tomorrow. Now we're filming this on 9/22. This is Thursday, so we're talking about the Friday practice. So I don't know when you're listening to this on the podcast, on whatever streaming service you use, but he is expected to practice tomorrow, Friday, and Zach does expect him to play. But everything that Ace said, that was one of the reasons why I think maybe teams weren't willing to send a late round pick for him and all these different things. And the 100,000 attached to it, does kind of. It's a good and it's a bad thing because you might have some games in my mind where I'm like, he might suit up and he ain't really ready. The bigger issue to me is this, and this is the thing that gets lost in the sauce a lot of times with the Bengals in this offensive line. Everybody always looks at like the position that they're currently in as the opposite as the Bengals didn't do anything. The plan coming into the season depth-wise was really good, I thought. The starting, I thought, like you came back with Isaiah Prince, who a lot of people might not be. You might be up, you might be down, but that's a legitimate tackle that has played legitimate snaps and even started for you in the Super Bowl. And even in a lot of different moments, the Raiders game, I thought he played really, really well. But that was your your backup right tackle. He's on short-term IR, and that's the bigger issue. Now it puts you at this conundrum where people are like, what? I mean, now what do we go? But they had a plan, but things changed in the NFL really quick. So then you played Adeniji in preseason. He looked pretty good for the first time at what I thought was his natural position. The person who is the backup tackle on the other side in Deontay Smith, I thought he looked pretty good at certain times too, but he made a lot of mental errors. So these are the depth behind him was straight. But when one missing link is now gone, now you're starting to see this is how a bad offensive line can start to play musical chairs. But I just think it's really important to understand, like if you're listening to this, the Bengals did have a legitimate tackle backup, but he's on short-term IR, and he should be back in a couple of weeks. But for currently right now, yeah, if Isaiah Prince was there, I think they probably wouldn't even play La'el this week. I think they would just say, let's just go play him because we know what he looks like at right tackle. We've seen him against Von Miller, you know what I'm saying? Like let's just play him, but you don't have that luxury. So if it were me, this is what I would do. It sounds crazy, but I would put Volson at right tackle because I know that even if he got beat, his size, his measurables, and everything like that isn't prototypical tackle, and I think it's a tough ask, but I would help him all game. But I know he got so much dog in him that he's not going to like give up on plays or anything like that, like I've seen with Adeniji. The other thing is Deontay Smith is like the game looks really, really fast to him sometimes. So I'm really worried about him with like a person like Lawson. I can see Volson getting beat, but I can't see Volson like giving up on a play and not fighting to the depth. And the only reason why I say do that, move at the right tackle is because Max Sharping, who is a really good guard in this league for quite some time, I think could just be pushed right in the left guard. No problems. That's his natural position, and you wouldn't miss a beat. It's a little unorthodox, but I just think, like, if it were me, I would do that. But now you got this uncertainty of Adeniji and Deontay Smith at right tackle, and one of them guys might have to play, whether La'el suits up or not. That back start tweaking up. One of them dudes got to go in there.
Yeah, it's a good point. And so health is going to be important. It'll be interesting to see how Friday plays out and how that leads to Sunday. As we shift gears to the other side, a familiar face is back in the news here for us. CJ Uzomah returns. Well, I guess CJ Uzomah faces his old team, and he's practicing limited. I know he wasn't much of a factor in the first 2 weeks, but maybe that was because of injury. What do you guys think about CJ Uzomah coming back?
I mean, it must be a revenge game for him, for the Bengals players that I'm sure heard some of his comments during this summer. I mean, Joe Burrow said that he hasn't spoke to him since he left. I think they want some get back. He kind of made a comment that I took. I don't know how anyone else took it, as that the Bengals didn't have that drive or that dog in them. Like he was like, I'm gonna go in and get with some young boys that got that dog in them. So you don't think Jamar got that dog in him? So you don't think Joe Burrow got that dog in him? So you don't, okay, we're gonna show you who got that dog in him on Sunday. But as far as what he's done so far with the Jets, he's just really been a blip on the radar for them. They really aren't getting anything outside of CJ out of the tight end position. Even with CJ Conklin, it hasn't really produced or come to fruition. I think CJ gets up for this game, but if they're relying on CJ Uzomah to be a factor to beat the Bengals, I'm not so sure that that's a good strategy. So I would love them to pepper CJ Uzomah with targets if it takes it away from Garrett Wilson and Elijah Moore. Yeah, do that all day. I'm good with that.
Right. Go right at it. I don't have much. I'm saying what he said. I don't care. Give me CJ. I hope we get that boy ready to go. Not worried about him. Let him go.
All right. Well, then let's get to the game plan and what we think, how we think things are going to go. Zim, let me start with you. What do you think about the Bengals' offensive game plan this week? How are they successful against the Jets?
I hope Zach can just take a page off of some other teams that we're watching have success. I want to take two teams real quick. The Eagles and the Bills. It's most teams, most people say, okay, you got a backup quarterback or a quarterback like a Baker Mayfield. You want to get them in rhythm and roll them out. You know what the Bills do for Josh Allen like almost every damn snap? Roll them out. And you know what happens when you move the pocket? A lot of the different errors that you have in your offensive line sometimes get hidden in there. I think they need to start moving the pocket more and not going to standard dropbacks. I think him in rhythm, look at the play where T. Higgins gets the game-winning touchdown. That play, and then the Tyler Boyd one has a little bit on the two-point conversion for it to set up, and then he starts to roll out to his left, and then he hits him in stride. It lets me know that if the line is athletic enough, and I think like early on, if they could just move the pocket like we saw Pittsburgh in week 1, the reason why a lot of Bengals fans aren't happy at the fact that we didn't get a lot of pressure on them is because they constantly just move the pocket. And if they could do that, it cuts off half the field. So generally for like a quarterback like Joe Burrow, you're saying, no, I want a full scan because he's just going to get everybody. I think that he's smart enough to, in rhythm, hit somebody. And if he doesn't hit the guy in rhythm, then I think for once, he just throws the ball away. If they did that, it would catch so many teams off guard. And I know that they're capable of doing it because that, with the mix of what they did with the Ryan Finley game when they beat the Steelers, is 100% what they did the whole entire game by masking the offensive line. The other team is the Eagles. Yes, they have the best offensive line in football, but they're constantly putting Jalen Hurts in RPO situations. Anytime that the Bengals have had RPO, like it's a variation of play action plays to me. Instead of play action and you turning your back to the defense and us crying about, Zach, everybody knows it's going to be a run or it's going to be a pass because Joe Burrow doesn't feel comfortable putting his back to a defense with that crappy offensive line. If you're going into RPO situations where you're faking, where you're reading the defensive end and then seeing what that guy is doing, it can hold the defensive end up for just a split second. If you do that, then I think the next step is then he can start the process really fast or whatever. If they did a healthy dose of that, I just think that they floor him. I think they clear him, and it puts the league on notice like there's other things that they could do. That's the main thing that I want, but the last point that I want from the offense is this too. Joe Burrow talked about getting the ball first. I want them to come out first, get the ball, and go right at them immediately. And if they don't have success on the first drive, so be it. But go right at them, deep balls. Do not run away from Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and Tyler Boyd. You have to hit them dudes on the first drive of the game. If you go a whole series or two without hitting those guys, then you're letting the opposition off the hook. You have to go directly to them guys. They're proven entities, and you need to make sure that they are a big part of your game plan. Because if you lose, win, or draw, you need to be able to walk out of that damn stadium saying, I went to my heavy guns early in this game, and I wasn't playing around. And I promise you, if you give them guys the opportunities, it will work out for you.
Yeah, for me, it wasn't too long ago that the Tampa 2 defense they pronounced dead. And all of a sudden it's resumed and reared its ugly head back for NFL offenses. A lot of teams aren't running the single high look anymore. You have to wonder though, with Sauce Gardner and DJ Reed, are they really just going to drop those guys into the flats? History with these past 2 games would tell us yes, teams are going to do that to try to take it away. So this is what you need to do to counter that. How about you run trips? How about you run some wide receiver screens? How about you attack the middle of the defense? And how about you use this guy, Tyler Boyd? Tyler Boyd is a major key because where are most of his routes at? In the middle of the field. Hayden Hurst, where are most of his routes at? In the middle of the field. You know what else you could do? You could bring Uno and T. Higgins to the middle of the field. That's where T. Higgins caught his pass where he started to have that first reception and run for a first down. Get these guys in situations to get them success. Here's the other way that you beat cover 2. Run the ball, but you got to run the ball with a purpose to try to run them out of cover 2 so you can get that single high look. I think like Zim said, you got to score early and often because if you don't, guys are just going to sit back in cover 2 once they get up a touchdown or 2 against you and wait for you to try to take them out because you know what that does? Just like Joe Burrow said, it takes the run game away. So that's a major key is converting there. They've been great on 3rd down. You know where they haven't been great? On 1st and 2nd down. They got to get better there. That's a major key. And you got to go to your players. Zim talked about it earlier this week when we were in Spaces. If I'm going down, I'm going down with my dogs. These guys behind me and Joe Mixon and Hayden Hurst. You better go out doing that. And, of course, you got to protect Joe Burrow. Put him in situations where we don't have free rushers just running right at him. Because I tell you what, Micah Parsons I can accept, TJ Watt I can accept. But if we let these Jets guys like Jermaine Johnson and Carl Lawson get to Joe Burrow, that is just unacceptable. They got to give him a pocket to be able to step up in. And from a run game perspective, Mixon and that offensive line has to get on the same page with the runs. And the runs have to be better. We can't do predictable runs. Like that just has to change up. And I think another thing that Zach said is that Callahan has to be able to adjust on the fly. Adjust on the fly with whatever looks that they're giving you and come out of here with a victory. I mean, I think that they need to score at least 20 to 25 points to win this game. They got to get that. Anything less is
I think they need to score like 27-28. I think Garrett Wilson and them are coming off of, whatever. And I think that it's so important, especially going into the Thursday. I'm not trying to look ahead, but going into the Dolphins, the offense needs to know that they can score points and not be like get themselves in a pigeonhole where you're being conservative because you don't think you could do it. And you can, and then Tyreek Hill and then blow your butt off the field like on that. But the one key thing that I missed that you did hit on is if you want to get teams out of Tampa 2, run the ball efficiently. If you can run for 4 point something yards a carry or whatever consistently, it will get anybody into single high looks 100%.
For sure. And we need to see bunches with the Migos. We need to see all of that. Like, we can't make it easy for these guys. We got to make that safety make a decision. Is he going with Jamar or is he going with Hayden or is he going with Tyler? Make them make decisions and take advantage of CJ Mosley, I think, in the receiving game. Like, he's not a great coverage linebacker. You might hear the name. Too. You got to remember, 4th and 12 happened on who? CJ Mosley, like right over his head. So take advantage of them. And like Zim said, test those safeties out as well.
Look, Joyner. And then you got what's the kid, Whitehead and all them or whatever on the injury report or whatever. Like I think their corners are good. Sauce and
for sure. DJ Reed
and DJ Reed are good, right? But this is what I was posing to Jets fans earlier. I don't care who your corners are for any team. Like the Bengals don't have to win a game all season. They are though. But like say that they don't. It doesn't matter who your corner is. We proved that with Jalen Ramsey's, Marlon Humphreys of the world. I don't care who your corner is. If you don't give them help, I'm going to win that game. Like, or if I consistently get targets to my guy, it's not a knock on your corner. The odds are in the favor of the offense in today's NFL game. If I have a one-on-one situation with your corner and I get the opportunity to throw the ball to that guy more than 5, 6, 7, 8 times, I'm going to win some reps out of that with Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and Tyler Boyd. That's what makes them so special. It's not like a hit or miss type of thing. Like, do I know? Like, Garrett Wilson is a great talent, but we don't really know enough about him. We know that he came off a really good game, but you just watch T. Higgins come off of 2 consecutive seasons of 1,000+. Like, this is a known entity. Jamar Chase coming off the greatest rookie wide receiving campaign of all time. This is a known formula that works. If your cornerback is in a one-on-one situation, I'm going to get you.
And
period.
Then, what does that mean? Take deep shots. No more of this. Like,
bro, people that say that, bro, people that keep on saying, well, the offensive line isn't giving them enough time. We didn't have no damn time last year. Where were you? I almost dropped the F-bomb. All the throws, all the big plays. That's the only thing that we're really missing is the big plays to sprinkle in an extra 14 points or so. But none of those were 5-7 step drops, dagger routes, double poster. It's all go routes. It was quick, it was fast, and it was like, think about the Steelers game. Like, it just all of a sudden, boom, a slant in the Ravens game, boom, pocket shot Chiefs game, boom, balls out quick. We didn't have time to do anything. People that say that to you and you're listening to this right now, they're casual. We never had time. I think the line was worse last year, bro. Like, it's not, that's not a hot take. They just threw the ball really quick, but they threw the ball down the field efficiently. And the first game was so bad when he did throw the ball down that I think it scared them into taking those shots, because they were like, well, if we don't put the ball in harm's way, we proved that we could play a good enough football game, and it backfired because we were so conservative that we gave Cooper Rush and company a chance to win.
Yeah, I mean, I think we can all agree. We want to see more shots downfield. We want to see more efficient running, more effective running, less predictable running situations. If I see another 1st and 10 Burrow under center run play, I might flip my TV. I mean, I'm literally calling out the runs when he's under center. So mix in some play action. Let's not be quite so predictable. Let's switch gears. Let's start with you, Ace, here. Give me a game plan for the Bengals defense going up against Joe Flacco, who miraculously is like in the top 3 in passing yards in the NFL right now.
Yeah, you got to get to Joe Flacco. I think from a defensive perspective, get to him, whether that's 4 down linemen, whether that's corner blitzes. Like, why did you bring Mike Hilton here? Like, I love Mike Hilton. His coverage isn't his strongest asset. It's blitzing. It's the unknown that you can have with Mike Hilton. Send some of that his way. I think from another perspective, you cannot allow Garrett Wilson to take over a game like he did last week. You also have Elijah Moore and Corey Davis. They were playing a little cover 2 in the Browns last week. So I don't imagine that we would be doing the same thing. But don't let one of these receivers get a wide open pass that allows them to extend drives like Noah Brown did last week. I think that that's something that's a major key. And you got to shut down this run game. I mean, I don't have any doubt that we will. DJ Reader's playing out of his mind, but you can't allow those running backs to do what they did last year. A lot of people forget they were the other team that had the 100+ yards rushing against that Bengals vaunted run defense last season. You can't let them emerge with that again and do that game plan of them throwing straight to the flats with Michael Carter and with the new guy that they have in there, the rookie. He's really good. So make sure that you shut that run down and, you know, try to get some turnovers, dog. Like, we got to get turnovers and sacks. Like, that's the key. Like, just get some turnovers and sacks. You're good.
I'm going to go with something I've been known and I got killed for years. I'm going to straight up tell you right now, your offense is your defense on this one. Give me some points. That's my defense. That straight up. Like, Flacco ain't cooking with Joe, bro. Give me some points. And I'll let the defense carry the rest. I'm sorry, that's not a deep thought for a defense wins championship guy right now. But give me some damn points, straight up.
Okay. That's okay. I think we're all looking for a reason to smile on Sunday. But Zim, why does Pierce Dental give everyone else a reason?
Pierce Dental Group is a great company that I'm really excited to be working with, and I think we are, and I think the people there are really genuine. The office is the next level. They've been around for over 30 years, but they got a brand new location down in Fountain Square. So if you are in the Cincinnati area, you can definitely go check them out. But you can go to piercedentalgroup.com. You can also follow them on Twitter or Instagram with my guy, Dr. Pierce, whose shoe game is amazing. He's been working with Akeem Davis-Gaither lately. He's been working with a lot of different Bengals, some of your favorite Bengal stars. We talked about Dax Hill. Dax Hill was just in there a week or two ago. So if those guys are trusting them, then I think you guys can trust them too, because we trust them. So we're telling you, go contact them, even if you're not in the Cincinnati area, to get a free consultation. If you need a dentist, confidence starts here with Pierce Dental Group.
Couldn't have said it better myself. All right, let's change things up here. Let's go to some the top prop bets this week, but let's kind of go rapid fire. Give me what you think, whether it's over or under, and then give me one big reason why. So, Zim, over under for T. Higgins, 68.5 receiving yards.
Did we hit any of our stuff last week?
That's a good question. We'll have to go back and keep track. Better job.
If anybody's in the comments that remembers, I don't know, Diddy's always here, Gray's here. If anybody remembers any of the different props we had last week, let us know how we did, because
I hit on the Fryer Muth a couple weeks ago, not having a touchdown. I did hit another one.
And I think I said that, and I thought he was going to have one. So yeah, all right. So this week, I think I was a little low on T last week. I thought this week I'm up on T, and I think he does go over 68. Last year he had a really good game of him, but I think the middle of the field is the biggest place to exploit the Jets defense, and I think that they're going to get a heavy dose of those in routes that T runs. And I think that they're just going to run a bunch of them. And I think eventually they'll break a tackle on one of them. And then I think they'll also take a deep shot.
Yeah, I'm going with the over on this, especially if the plan is to have Sauce Gardner. I think Sauce actually stays on one side, but I would imagine that they would want to put him on Jamar Chase early and often. So I think T has to open Chase up, and I think that they're going to feed off of each other. So I definitely see T going over the 68.5.
That's how you know the Bengals are down bad right now. Like, it's like we want to win so bad. Before the season, we were talking about, wait till Jamar gets it. Like, we didn't even mention like the matchup of Jamar versus Sauce, because I think it has humbled everybody in the sense of like, I don't care. I don't care if Jamar has 10 yards. We need a win. But that is going to be a great matchup, though.
All right, Ace, you lead us off here. 5.5 receptions for Jamar Chase, over under.
I think if you were to be under, I think that would be less than what he would do in this game. I'm going to take the over with Jamar. I think he could at least get 7 in this game. I think that he's going to get targeted a lot in this game. They're still going to go towards him with that confidence. The way Joe was talking, there's no way Jamar is going to have under 5.5 for this game.
100% is over. I don't know how many yards, but it's definitely over 5.5. That's a really good bet. Like, I like that.
Well, I won't tell you where to place that, but you still got a few days to do it. All right, our final one here is the total points for the game at 45.5. Kind of a high number for these two offenses.
That's a tough one, man.
That's a tough one. So
I'm gonna take the over, because on the strength of, I think that the Bengals finally score at least 27. In my mind is what I see, and then I'm thinking probably close to 20. So then that puts me at 47. So yeah, I'm gonna take the over on it. That seems kind of high, but I just think that the Jets, like the Bengals, it's going to be a rough ride early in the season. I think the Bengals are going to pull out some wins, but it's not going to look sexy.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the over here too. I think like a lot of people are downselling both of the offenses. Like the Bengals are struggling at 0-2, but I think a lot of people are discounting the weapons that the Jets have over there. You talk about those trio of receivers. I really like what they're doing over there. I think that they're trying to replicate a little bit of the Jamar Chase and T thing with Elijah and Garrett Wilson over there. They got some good running backs. So I think both teams will score. So I'm going to go with the over on this one. I think that it will be somewhat surprisingly a high-scoring game in this one.
Yeah.
All right. Awesome. Let's shift gears here to the winning ways for week 3, powered by Fan Cave Pro. Fan Cave Pro is the place to design and create the fan cave of your dreams. Log on to fancavepro.com to book your free consultation. Zim, what will have happened Sunday if the Bengals will have returned to their winning ways?
I think that they just figure out a way to get the ball back to the Migos, bro. Like, I don't think that they wait on anything. I think they get the ball first and just, even if the first series doesn't yield a touchdown, I just think that they probably come out of that with like 3 points, but they're just more assertive in their ways. I really wish that they would go watch the Chargers and the Bills play, because the Chargers alignment, just that alone, it makes it so simple for a quarterback, because they put these teams in these really tough decisions on when these routes come out of this pile. What are my assignments? What's my zone? And if the Bengals can just figure out a way to just not make it so vanilla where they say, okay, like, that's your man. Like, they need to figure out that portion of it. And then when you watch the Bills, like I was saying earlier, if they could just roll out and just get Joe moving, and that's something you normally wouldn't say to a quarterback that accurate, but that line just needs to get into a rhythm too. If they could get him moving, man, I'm telling you, it will go a long ways. If he's just doing standard dropbacks, it could be a long day. And I think early on, you'll see some of them stats when defenses come out there like really hot and they're like really like, just listen to their music. That's why you see them early sacks. And I'm just like, man, if you could get them to exude all that energy and use up all that energy, and then you start rolling them out or doing RPO. So now I got you working. I just really think that it's a recipe to kill, and it doesn't change their playbook. I wish I could talk to them. I know in my heart it will work, bro. It will work. But like I'm all about solutions, and I just think that will work. But just getting Joe into rhythm, and I think it'll work. But how do you get in the rhythm? Make it easy. Give it to the boy. Give it to the dogs. Give it to your horses. Go down swinging with your boys, no matter what.
Yeah, for me, it's protecting Joe Burrow, getting some turnovers, and coming out victorious, converting on those downs, putting points up. I think that those are the keys to victory. And I'm actually going to be getting a consultation with Fan Cave Pro very soon because I'm going to be putting my man cave together. It's going to have a lot of stripes and a lot of other stuff in there. So I can't wait to check out Fan Cave Pro to get that consultation.
Man, me too. I just cleaned out my garage, bro.
For those of you at home that don't know, that's my company. So yeah, I'm ready to talk. I'm ready to do some designs here whenever you guys are.
Oh yeah, check out when you get a chance too. Check out his Twitter, because I'm sure he'll post some of those pictures of his work. It's really good stuff. Check out the website. I went through it as well. Great catalog. Doesn't have to just be Bengal stuff. So if you're a fan of another fan base checking this out, and you like geek culture or anything like that, check out what they have there, because they got some dope stuff going on.
Before we get to our next subject, Zim, you have posted a video about a play that Ohio State ran, I think over the weekend, where they ran that fake screen. Right. Here's another look at it. I'm looking for some creativity when this offense, the same way that
our good friend Joe Goodberry, our good friend Joe Goodberry, he showed me, actually, he replied to that.
That's the bunch. That's what they need to run against cover two. That's exactly. You need to take the Migos and put them right over there. If they're gonna keep Sauce on the right side, I would come out every time and put the Migos.
And that's what I was saying. That's what the chart. And to me, now it's two different conversations. One is the alignment. That's why I was talking about the Chargers. The Chargers show you trip sets. One out on the other side, you can get that way. I can isolate Jamar Chase on whoever in that bunch. You could put Hayden Hurst in that bunch if you want. It still puts the pressure on the defense. On the other side, this is just one variation of it. On this other side over there, you could have Jamar Chase isolated one-on-one in a 4-wide set, and you still have an inline blocker, and it will go, and it will work. What Ryan's talking about is the actual play itself, like the fake, like you're faking like it's a wide receiver screen. Then the second wide receiver leaks out to the backside. Now, our good friend Joe Goodberry, he showed me, I think it was the Jaguars tried it. And this is the one thing about that play, is that in the NFL, guys are so fast that generally if you want to sell a wide receiver screen, you're usually inviting one person to come through so that you could really sell the screen. In this variation of it, they're not really doing that. And in the NFL, the safeties are a lot more trained to like see certain things and stay disciplined in their assignments. And if that does, then you're going to get sacked because now our bad offensive line is now in all one-on-one situations. So that's the tough part about it. Like if the safety doesn't bite, that play probably doesn't work.
That one's confusing for the safety though, and that's another aspect of cover two that's always open. I mean, playing corner, you already know that area right behind you where the dude just ran up for the touchdown, that's open. And so when you see one guy run the screen, the corner is going to be there on him because he's dropping out to the flat. And then you have one guy coming in on the slant. I think that guy came in. The safety has to choose between those two guys. He can't cover both spots. So that would be perfect for them to run. They could run trips. They could do a lot of stuff, bro, that would really throw them off of that cover two for sure.
Well, talking X's and O's always makes me hungry. So let's get to Midwest Best Barbecue.
Wings, and we got you with them on our wings. On our wings. They tell me that them on our wings will make you do the gritty. Them on our wings will make you do the gritty. On our wings. On our wings. Come and get them on our wings. On our wings. Who they gonna beat them on our wings. On our wings. And we got you with them on our wings. On our wings. They tell me that them on our wings will make you do the gritty. Them on our wings will make you do the gritty.
Midwest Best Barbecue and Creamery. Ace, tell them where they can go to try that.
669 Justice Court in Loveland, Ohio. I heard they got some fried pretzels that are going crazy right now. So check them out. Ice cream, all of that. Before you get ready to watch Sunday's game, go and get you some Uno wings. Watch Greg Luther, friend of the show. He's always got a spread from Midwest Best Barbecue. I don't get behind something that I don't believe in. Zim doesn't either. The food is amazing. We're not just telling you that. Like, look for anybody to say anything negative about Midwest Best Barbecue. I guarantee you won't find it. All kinds of wings, all kinds of things that they have there for you. Check them out in Loveland. Every time we go there, it's a packed house. So I'm pretty sure everybody will be supporting Midwest Best Barbecue.
And they're hiring.
And they're hiring
too. Yeah. If you want to be in the next commercial, submit an application. You might end up in a commercial.
Is a gritty part of the interview, you think?
I think so. You gotta hit the gritty.
You gotta hit it real smooth. Speaking of that, we
not like the guy from the Dolphins, not like Gesicki.
Definitely not like Mike Gesicki. That was terrible. Tonight we've got a big matchup. I'm sure a lot of us will be watching just with the hopes that the stadium will be swallowed by a black hole. But the Steelers and the Browns play tonight. A couple of division rivals getting it on. The division's still there for the taking, guys, especially after last week. All four teams losing, some in more dramatic fashion than the others. Who do you guys like tonight? Who are you rooting for tonight? What do you hope to see?
I want the Steelers to go to work and knock these dudes off. The reason why is because the Browns in a winning, like they have our number for the last couple of years or so, whatever, right? But if the Browns are winning and Deshaun Watson comes back, we're dead. Because, and the reason why I say that is because if the Ravens are already probably going to be a playoff team, then there's not enough spots for us. Mitchell Trubisky knocking the Browns off for us kind of helps us out in two different ways, bro. Like we know that Mitchell is going to lose games. You know that even Kenny Pickett is going to lose games. You're not worried about them long term. The Browns, though, with their roster and the balanced attack that they have with that offensive line is a big threat. If you're telling me right now they're looking like that, putting up points and running the ball efficiently, and then you add Deshaun Watson to that equation, you want to get them boys out the way.
Yeah, for me, who do I want to win? I want the Steelers to win for the same reason as them. Look, man, the Browns are a top 7 offense in scoring with Jacoby Brissett right now. They are looking very scary right now. Obviously, like Zim said, they get Deshaun back. That's going to be crazy. But how do I see this going? there's no way that the Steelers are going to be able to keep up with the Browns in this game. Just like offensively, they can't do much unless Kenny Pickett gets in the game. I don't think that they have a chance of doing anything. Like Mitch Trubisky, we thought that Kenny Pickett was going to be Andy Dalton. Mitch Trubisky is Andy Dalton. Look at those stats that he's been putting up for them. And then they don't have TJ Watt.
He's Tim Tebow right now, bro. Like,
yeah,
bro, be throwing for like 120 yards. Like,
he's not him. You know, everybody's talking about I'm him. He's not him. And then they don't have TJ Watt. So I think the Browns get this one. They've been leaning on those running backs with Nick Chubb. And Jacoby Brissett looked way better than I thought that he would look last week. You know, a lot of people are going to see the interception. That interception came at the very end of the game, him just trying to make a play. So I think that the Browns are going to pull this one off. But, you know, I would hope that the Steelers will get it. Some people might say, hey, let's get a tie. No, ties are not good in this situation for us. We need one of those teams to lose.
Brisket was getting jiggy, bro. He was rolling out and all types of stuff. He was doing his thing.
Yeah, I didn't know he had wheels like that on the ground, like the way he was running around. I didn't know that.
He was moving.
Well, I'm hoping for a tie, honestly. Just give me a tie.
No, a tie hurts us. That's now two. That's two teams. That's two teams that now mathematically could push us out if we ended whatever record. There's two teams now that will have a half a game on us.
Yep.
You want one of them to lose.
All right. Then I'm gonna plead the fifth because I honestly can't say either way who I'd want to win. They both make me absolutely sick. You guys are big travel guys. We all live out of Ohio and do our fair amount of traveling. Talk to us about Fans of Cincy and how they can help people with their road trips.
Yeah, Fans of Cincy is gonna get you guys all of your things handled, right? Whether it's your food for New Orleans, your trip there, your flight. I just got mine booked today. Your room, I got that booked as well. I'm good to go. I'm locked in. Your ticket to the game. I mean, you can't beat it. Like, you go to one place and get that all done. You don't have to go to 3 different places. You don't have to compare airlines and budgets and figure it out. They do that for you. Check them out. They also have a tailgate that they're doing. So if you're just going to be there and you didn't book with Fans of Cincy, but you still want some good food and you still want to pop up at the tailgate that me and Zim are going to be at, you can buy those as well. And then, of course, they're coming down here to Florida. They're coming down my way with the Tampa game. So make sure that you get locked in with them. It only takes a $200 deposit. That's not bad when you have to think about tickets to the game where you might just spend $200 on just that. That locks in your room. You don't even have to think about it. Fansofcincy.com. Check them out.
Man, they showed pictures from the tailgate from this past week. It was dope. They had a nice little setup, a sweet TV screen, showed people on the on the shuttle to the bus and stuff. It looked like some good times. So.
Awesome. Well, that's going to be the end of the show for us. Any final thoughts, guys?
Let's just go get the dub. Let's get back to what we were last year, Zim. Just give me the dub. I don't care how I get it. Just give me the dub.
Give me the dub. I'm gonna tell you this. Is it me? But this show was kind of like you could feel the tension. Like it wasn't playing around. We weren't playing around on this one. Like you could feel the tension. And the crazy thing is, it doesn't stop here. Like this is what it means to beat 100. Like we're gonna be on edge when you start off with an 0-2 hole. Yeah. It ain't crazy. If we would have been 1-1, I just think that we would be like a little bit like, let's knock the Jets out or whatever. Like everybody's on high tension, So let's see how that goes moving forward. But I think we're in good shape, man. I think we pull it off.
For sure.
I want to tell everybody, let's have some fun. Don't let this football team ruin your spirits. Let's have some fun. We're gonna win, but have fun.
For sure. Yep. Make sure you guys tap in with us every Tuesday and Thursday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And yeah, guys, thank you guys for listening to the Wincinnati podcast.
Absolutely. I'm going to just say, free Chris Evans.
Yes. Hello, world. We got a special show as always. CJ Uzomah, Jimmy Chase, Coach Jimmy Burrow.
Exciting time to be a Bengals
How do
fan.
you balance being a professional athlete and family obligation? These are top 5 Bengals of all time.
All time? Yeah. Shock the world.